anyone notice Craig got a bigger round of applause than I did? What is going on here?
We love Craig.
Tall and young and handsome to get a bunch of votes. Yeah, well. So thanks very much. Look, this is a great turnout. There is so much energy here in Trinity County. Thanks for the privilege of letting me fight for you up in Washington, D.C. It is, I'll just tell you, I've never seen anything like it. But it leads me to the other point, which is, you know, we got to continue to keep President Trump in our prayers, and in our hearts, because he is fighting a great fight for us. Look, he's not a perfect man. None of us are. But I tell you what, in the first 2.5 years of his presidency, he has transformed this country. Look, our economy is now vaulted to the #1 most competitive economy in the world. We're growing, already we're growing 50% faster than the experts predicted. You know, paychecks are going up for the first time in a decade. And what I really like, it goes up faster. It's going up faster for the line workers and the manufacturers than for their supervisors. So the people who are doing the sweat and the hard work, they're the ones that are seeing paychecks come back. Remember when Democrats told us, just forget manufacturing in America. Just forget it. They went to Michigan, they went to Ohio, Pennsylvania, they just said, look, it's gone. You can never, who has a magic wand? President Trump and Republicans who tax reform? Yes. That was the magic wand. And so now, we lost as a country. Yeah. So as a country, last year, President Obama, like his first year, we lost 20,000 manufacturing jobs in America. President Trump has created 500,000 manufacturing jobs. Yeah, just in 2 years. Manufacturing's back. And jobs are coming back to America for the first time in as long as you and I can remember. So he re-energized this economy. What I'm really proud of, besides tax reform, I'm really proud that I was able to stand with him for the first rebuilding of America's military in a decade and a half.
Yes.
Yeah, our men and women in uniform, look, they're cut, budgets have been cut. The world isn't more safe, it's more dangerous. And they're using equipment that's older than me. And last year, or 2 years ago, my argument for raising the military was we had more military men and women killed in training accidents than in the war. Well, that's on us, because we're not giving them the equipment they need, the weapons and the training. And so rebuilding the military, a huge part of President Trump's and Republicans' legacy. Thirdly, he is transforming today our court system, bringing back judges who won't make the law and write the law, simply interpret and enforce the Constitution. And I'll tell you, I give our U.S. Senators, Senator Cornyn and Senator Cruz, by the end of President Trump's first term, heading into a second term, he will have appointed 40% of the federal judges in all these openings around. Yeah, it is a major achievement. And then, before going on a couple of issues I want to talk about, I want to make this your time. But look, he is the first president that I ever recall that is taking China on head on.
Yes.
You know, that country's been cheating for too long. And it has cost America tens of thousands of jobs. I don't know how many lost businesses. They've been stealing our technology. They steal our intellectual property. We have companies in my 8th congressional district that went over to try to get customers in China, invested there. Man, they stole the technology so fast, it makes your head spin. And that company is going to lose millions. One of our local companies here in our district, order up, right there. You know, and the time is up for China. So the president's taking them on head on. Do we like tariffs? No. Personally, I just hate them. They're taxes. They have the same effect. We don't like them. But the president's using that as leverage to force China to the table, and they're there. It's not an easy job. I know this, but I think there's a moment of time here. And we do the trade from the Ways and Means Committee in tariffs. There is a unique moment of time where this president could completely reshape the trading relationship with China, where it is fair to us, it's a level playing field, and they're no longer cheating in our trade with America. And so it's not easy. I went out to West Texas last week, and here with our Farm Bureau in Texas, here in my congressional district, and all of them tell me the same thing. Look, these tariffs aren't fun. They have a real impact. Look, the president's doing the right thing. We're hanging tight with them. Tell them to hang tough. And I think at the end of the day, I think there's an agreement here sooner rather than later. I know what the press is saying and escalating all this. I'm just telling you, I think they were within inches. I mean, 2 months ago, they were within inches of an agreement. In fact, so close, U.S. Trade Representative was calling me to say, okay, here's how we're going to roll out the announcement. Here's how the two presidents will sign it. They were there. China's hardliners stepped in to block it because they felt they were giving away too much. And the truth of the matter is, President Trump wasn't asking China to change their whole economic model. He just wanted them to change the part that they cheat on. That was all he was asking. And so I think there's still an opportunity to get this done, which leads me, I want to talk about two issues real quick. One's a really good idea. One's a really bad idea. So let's start with the good one. You know, economy is moving. It is booming. We have 7 million job openings and 6 million people on unemployment. We have more job openings than there are workers. It's a problem, but it's the better problem to have. But with President Trump, have you ever met someone who is determined to keep every campaign promise he made? President Trump, if you remember, said, I don't think NAFTA is fair. I'm going to renegotiate NAFTA. I'm going to modernize it. I'm going to make sure our American workers get treated fairly. Well, that's exactly what he's done. He's renegotiated that agreement. He's modernized it, brought it in the 21st century. It is a level playing field for American workers, especially our American auto workers. It is good for agriculture. It's great for energy, big for Texas. It is modern. It's great for manufacturing. It's modern. When they started that agreement 25 years ago, you know, the internet was barely working. They were wondering, do you think people would buy things off the internet? That was what they were thinking. The answer is, yeah, apparently they do. A quarter of a century later, yeah, it's going to work. And he made all these changes, so many so that they estimate this new Mexico-Canada agreement will create 176,000 new jobs. A lot of it's going to come to Texas. And we're going to gain over 70,000 auto jobs. Why? Because for the first time, he's forcing Mexico to pay $16 an hour or more for their workers who are building cars. And now more cars coming to the U.S. going to have Made in America content. They have to be built here in America. Yeah, so it's not a perfect agreement. None of these things are. But for Texas, the reason I'm traveling the state right now, and I'm going to Mexico on Thursday, is this new Mexico-Canada agreement starts in the Ways and Means Committee. It is crucial for Texas. Our state, we're made for trade. I mean, no one's better at this than us. We are the #1 state for shipping and selling around the world. In California, #2, you can barely see them in our rear view mirror. I mean, we are that good at it. Yeah, we are. In Mexico and Canada, they're our two biggest customers. And for those of you in business, you know you take care of your biggest customers, especially if there's a chance they can grow even bigger. They're so big, they buy so much of our Texas stuff that they're bigger customers, those two countries, than the next country, 10 countries combined. So we've got a chance to grow. It's not enough to sell American. You got to buy American. You got to sell American all around the world. We want to sell Texas to Mexico and Canada. This new agreement does it. No state gains more from U.S. They call it USMCA, U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. No state gets hurt worst if it fails. And so here's where it's at right now. The president negotiated. Mexico signed it, Canada signed it, but already Mexico's approved theirs. Canada's ready to approve theirs. The president is waiting for a sign from Speaker Pelosi to send it to Congress. When he does, we'll have 90 days to consider it, straight up or down vote, so we can't delay it. My point to you is we need this agreement for Texas in the U.S. right now. We need it before the end of the year. We're pushing hard. The Republican support is really strong. I lead, along with Steve Scalise and Kevin McCarthy, I lead the vote counting for the new USMCA in the House for Republicans. Our Republican support is awfully strong. And this will surprise you, but because President Trump renegotiated this in a way that's fair for our auto workers and fair for our manufacturing workers, he's getting some Democrat support. We're seeing some of it here in Texas. But the other thing he did was, for the first time, he decided, selling our American products it shouldn't be one party or the other. Republicans have always been the champions of that. He felt Democrats should be too. So he addressed a lot of the long-standing concerns the Democrats have had about trade. He opened it up, made it more transparent, got more people involved. So as a result, we're starting slowly to build bipartisan support for this agreement. It's going to take that because Democrats have the majority in the House. And so we are continuing that work here in Texas. All 36 of our House members, Republicans and Democrats, have no excuse not to vote for this new trade agreement. It is great for Texas, period, and better than the NAFTA that's in place today. Again, not perfect, but really, really good. And so I'm going to want your support to help spread the word. People ought to get on board with the president. Our biggest worry is that some people vote against this simply because President Trump put this agreement together. Well, that would be a shame, because this isn't about Republican or Democrat jobs. It's about American jobs. It's about our economy, our customers. And by the way, the reason we want this to the president by this year, every day we delay costs us customers, costs us jobs, and every day we delay, China wins. Europe wins. Well, we want America to win. That's what this president's all about. So that's the good idea I'm working on now. So when you heard me say a bad idea, you were probably thinking, which one would that be? So let me go to one of the most dangerous healthcare ideas I've ever heard or experienced. Have you heard about Medicare for All?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a bill that starts in the Ways and Means Committee and Energy and Commerce. There's already been a congressional hearing. This idea, for Democrats, they're dead serious about this. They introduced it the other day, Representative Jayapal from Washington State. It has 177 sponsors, all Democrats. That's a majority of the House Democrats. It's a majority of the Democrat candidates. It is a dangerous idea. Look, I know our healthcare system. It is full of miracles, but it's got problems too. It is too expensive. Drugs are way too expensive. We see too many surprise billings. It's not affordable. We know that. But we ought to keep what's working and fix what's broken before we throw it all out and start with socialized medicine that will cause you will pay more and you will wait longer to get worse health care. That is what Medicare is all about. It cancels millions of health care plans for workers and children and seniors. It forces everyone into a one-size-fits-all plan that gives unlimited control of your health care to Washington bureaucrats. And it will bankrupt America. It will bankrupt America. On the first part of this, so for the first time in history, it will ban healthcare at work. It will stop any small business, any medium business, any big business from offering health care to their workers. Bans it. So in our district alone, just our little 8th congressional district, 600,000 of your neighbors will have their health care plans canceled. In Texas, the number gets huge. It's too early, man. Craig's got me rolling here. A schedule hit. 21 million Texans will have their health care plans canceled under Medicare for All. 21 million. And some of you are in this room right now. It bans health care at work. It eliminates the children's health insurance program, which helps a lot of young kids. It bans TRICARE. It ends TRICARE. For our military men and women, like my little brother, it bans TRICARE. And it ends Medicare Advantage. I don't know how many of you have a Medicare Advantage plan. Actually, I know how many of you. 40,000 in my district. It does away with that. And I will tell you too, I think it ends Medicare as we know it. Because Medicare, which is already on shaky financial ground, they're going to load 160 million people onto Medicare. So those of you who paid into it your whole life and depend upon it today, it is not going to be there for you. So it cancels great health care and gives unlimited control to Washington. I don't know about you. Federal government shut down almost twice here, 3 times almost the last year and a half. It can barely keep its doors open. Do you really trust Washington with your life and death health care decisions? Is that who we trust? Well, that's a bad part. So I'm worried about the impact it has on communities here in Trinity, in our rural communities, because it cuts what they pay our local hospitals and doctors by 40%. Think about that. Think about our hospitals in Texas. Think about this one and how it's struggling. In Huntsville, how they're struggling. In Crockett, how they're struggling. We lost 24 rural hospitals in Texas over the last few years. 3 over the last few months. And more are headed that way. Can you imagine? You cut what they get paid by 40%. How many of them are going to survive? This one won't. Most of my rural hospitals will not survive. It's hard enough to recruit doctors. It's hard enough just to have an emergency room. It's just hard in rural community. You cut that, a lot of people are gonna suffer. Not just in rural hospitals, in every hospital. So if you're planning to go into Conroe or going up to Lufkin or over to Bryan College Station, they're going to struggle as well. I was just over there in Navasota. I'm going up to Madisonville. I think I'm in Trinity tomorrow or next week. And these hospitals tell me it'll be devastating to them. So where's health care? You're going to wait longer to see your doctor. We know this. In Canada, if you can see your doctor and they tell you, he or she says you need to see a specialist, something's wrong, the average wait is 4 months. 4 months to see a specialist. If you're a woman and they tell you, you got a lump on your breast, we got to figure out what type it is. On average, you won't even get to get to a CT or MRI for a month. That's almost cruel to make someone wait that long just to get a test. Then you got to wait to see a specialist. That may be fine for Canada and it may be fine for England. It's not fine. It's not acceptable here in America for us to wait like that. I think we're going to see a shortage of doctors. They estimate Medicare for All will make the shortage worse by 122,000 doctors. We'll be that much shorter of what we need. So you're going to wait longer to see your physician. And I worry for a lot of our neighbors, and you may be one of them. We have miraculous medicines and all that, but there's a lot of diseases that are pretty stubborn. And if you get an ALS, Parkinson's a tough one, certain types of cancers. Right now, we're just fighting to give people hope. I think you're going to see fewer new life-saving drugs. You're going to see fewer new medicines and treatments. I think they're going to rob hope from us in this. I just worry that the people who need the hope the most are going to get hurt. And at the end of the day, our health care is going to be worse off than it is today. Final point, Medicare for all will bankrupt you, and it'll bankrupt America. The cost of it, just the beginning, the first 10 years, everything gets more expensive. They always sell you on that teaser rate. Get you in the door, boom, costs go up. $32 trillion, that's just a number. Here's the real numbers. Democrats can double everyone's taxes in America. They can double Roland's taxes, they can double every one of yours, and that still won't pay for Medicare for all. They estimate, best estimate we've seen, it's not ours, is that it'll cost families between $24,000 a year and $40,000 a year in extra costs. That's not free health care. That is worse health care for more costs. And so right now, if you think this won't happen, let me just tell you, in the Ways and Means Committee, Democrats, they're all in on Medicare for all. The Democrat House under Speaker Pelosi, I'm just telling you, they are all in on Medicare for all. And those Democrat candidates, they don't just want health care for Americans, they want it for those who are here illegally as well. You saw them raise their hand. And so this will bankrupt America. We're fighting it tooth and nail. The reason I talked to you about it today, I was just reading to Craig some more polling here in America. So when people are asked, would you like Medicare for all, the polling's pretty positive. One, Medicare is important. For all sounds good. But when you start laying out what that really means in communities like ours, it all changes. The reason I'm talking to you about it today is you got to help educate people in Trinity County about Medicare for all, because once you go there, their health care will never be the same. And the reason I'm here today is I look what this county is doing. I look at these Republican women who are just all over this county doing great work. I see our elected officials. I know what you're doing good here. You got to help me spread the word on what Medicare for all really means for this county and for our families, because it is dangerous and it is devastating. Our approach is a lot different than this. We don't want to just protect health care at work. We want to get people more health care at work. It's tough for small businesses to be able to offer health care. They ought to be able to join together and buy health care at the same discounted price the big guys do. They ought to be able to buy across state lines. They ought to be able to get health care that's tailored for this restaurant and that auction barn and the business across the street, rather than coming out of Washington, D.C. We've already acted, Ways and Means Committee, to crack down on overpriced drugs. Look, a lot of these drugs are life-saving, but there's no reason things like insulin that have been around for 3 decades should go up 1,000%. That's ridiculous. We're going to crack down on overpriced drugs. We're going to pull the curtain back to see how drug companies price these drugs, and we're going to make them justify price increases that are above inflation. So you want to jack your price up, American public's going to know why, and Congress is going to know why as well. The other thing, we need to end surprise billings. I don't know how many of you have been caught with an extra bill at the end of a treatment, but these days, it's a surprise not to get a surprise bill. And then you got to work hard to avoid. I just took my brace off yesterday. I tore my bicep playing baseball, the congressional baseball game. Those of you know, some of you like to hunt, some of you like to golf. I like to play baseball, and I always have my life, so I play on the congressional baseball team. So I play second base and I bat second. And then in most of the games, we seem to finish second. That's probably not a good thing. But I was tore my bicep, first inning, cracked a rib, diving for a ball, played the whole game. But I came back here, Tom Ball, they reattached the bicep. It's been healing, but I tell you, Kathy and I, we're on Obamacare. And so like a lot of Americans. And our premiums have gone up fourfold. Our deductibles are above $10,000. We got a narrow group of doctors we can see. We have a narrow group of hospitals to go to. We got to fight to keep in network, because you take one step out of network, you're getting slammed. You know this. With $1,000 bill or more, we can't afford it. No one can afford it. So we're cracking down on surprise billings as well. I think we're going to find a good solution there as well. So as Republicans, we're fighting for affordable health care, but we are not going for Medicare for all. And I would just here today to ask you to help me educate people, Paulette, the club, the party, our elected leaders here, all of you in the grassroots. I need your help to fight this, because people are being fooled about what it really means and the damage it can do to you. Especially think about your children and grandchildren, what kind of health care they're going to get as well, and we just can't let that happen. With that, with your permission, boy, there's so much talk about borders, gun control, Iran, everything. Be glad to do that, but with your permission, I know we only have time for one or two questions, but can I open it up and just take some easy questions from you guys? Or anything I need to be working on as well. Yeah, Paula.
You mentioned a minute ago about how you really want to get this health care for all in front of Trump this year.
Yeah.
Is that because you anticipate him vetoing it?
No, I'm sorry. I want to get the USMCA, the new trade agreement, to the president and signed this year. I want Medicare for all killed this year.
Okay. Do you think it's going to go through?
Well, I think the House Democrats, they just move so crazy. I think they're going to try it. Yeah, because they have so much support for it. Senate's going to stop it. President's going to stop it. But I think the key here, people need to know what it'll do to them. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Because I don't think they have any idea.
I love your bullet points on the health care.
You want us to get that to you?
Yes.
Can we get that to all you guys? I know some of you signed up for emails or texts or whatever. With your permission, we will not slam your inbox, but we'll send you that information if you like it.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks. Glad to. Yes, sir.
This might be off topic, but what about this proposed red flag law?
So there is a proposed red flag. Look, I'm not a gun control guy, and those decisions ought to be made in the states. And our Texas legislature already took a look at that last year and decided that there was a far bigger downside to people sort of determining whether you can keep a gun or not in the law itself. So I kind of trust our state legislators to make that call. What do you think?
Well, the state should, but
Yeah.
the feds have a tendency to go beyond that.
Yeah, can I talk a little real quick about these shootings? They are horrific, and there are too many of them, and many of them are copycat, and we've seen them throughout the years, and it's absolutely disgusting the way they're using Did I upset you there, Craig, on that? No. It's disgusting the way people are playing politics with these shootings. It is wrong. You know, I escaped by about 4 minutes the shooting at the congressional baseball practice. I had just taken batting practice. The coach, Roger Williams, said, "You want to take some grounders at second with Steve Scalise, my roommate?" I looked out, Steve was taking them. I said, "No, I'm fine." Grabbed my gear, left the practice field. 4 minutes later, the shooting began. If the Capitol Police hadn't been there, that guy, targeting Republicans, Bernie Sanders supporter, hated Trump, would have killed 20 members of Congress. We didn't blame Bernie Sanders. We blamed that shooter. That person who pulled the trigger. That's the person. And I will tell you, what they're proposing for more gun control will not stop these shootings. They will not stop these shootings. And all you have to do, look at California. It's got every, quote, gun control measure those supporters ever dreamed of. 10-day waiting period, universal background check, ban on assault weapons. Every weapon has to be approved by the state. You got to get permission to carry a concealed weapon. It's a ban on every type of magazine. All of that But guess what happened 2 weeks ago? In Gilroy, they shot or killed 16 people. And in January, you think that all that gun control will stop the weapons from getting in the bad hands, guys? It doesn't. In January, they avoided a mass shooting in Napa Valley, and that potential shooter had every weapon you imagine. And the year before, the same week, we saw the Parkland shooting down in Florida because the security guard at a local school wouldn't take this answer for granted. Oh, I was just talking. He stopped a shooting at a school in California, and that young man had every one of those banned weapons. And he didn't get them legally. Like most criminals, they got it illegally. And so that's what we need to target here. And yeah, we need to do more on mental illness. Yeah, we need to figure out a way, when you see these red flags, like in the Sutherland shooting, that was a background check problem. The feds did not give that information. When you see in Florida shooting that frankly, a lot of law enforcement saw red flags ahead. We got to do a better job of that as well. There are good things we can do as Republicans. We passed legislation last year, under President Trump. He signed it to fix the background check system, make sure people aren't falling through the cracks there. We provided money to help our schools harden and decide how best to keep themselves safe. I'm a co-sponsor of the Mass Prevention Terrorism Act, which really goes to the underlying causes of these shootings. And it isn't on a bumper sticker, and it's not gun control. And so I know this is going to be a big issue when we go back after Labor Day. My biggest worry is that in the rush to do something, you do the wrong thing. And we don't keep the guns out of the bad people who are getting them. And that's where we need these shadow purchases we need to crack down on. You gotta close every opening in the background system, but we gotta have a mental health care system. These people are disturbed, they're isolated. Too many of them are giving us early signs. I think that's how we solve this problem. Do you agree?
Yes.
Is that the direction we need to go? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, Barbara.
I've known you for a long time.
Yes, you have. I think I had a comb when we first met.
Okay, long time ago, I gave him a shampoo.
I did have hair back then.
And I was 40 pounds lighter. Anyway, I do have a couple of questions or statements. I would like to see the Republicans in Washington stand up there with our president. You see that all the time with the Democrats.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I'll tell you, I feel in the House, but for a few, in this pretty small group, well, the Republican House has been all in for this president. Not that we agree with every tweet and every statement. We don't. We don't. No one does. But we stand with them because what he's trying to do to help America. Yeah.
The other thing is illegals.
Yes.
I know there has to be a whole bunch of them here. And I'd like to know where they're at.
Yeah, so I think here's one thing the media will not cover. But as conservatives and Republicans, we start with the simple premise. You got to shut the back door of illegal immigration so we can keep open the front door of legal immigration. So people who want to do better by themselves, welcome. Texas, man, legal immigration is a huge part of our state, all that. But we insist you come in the front door. That's what Republicans stand for. That back door. Look, the president's right. Shut that border down because we've never seen the crisis we're seeing on the border right now. You talk to our Border Patrol, our Customs Border Patrol, our ICE agents, they are overwhelmed. In those caravans, more than 200 of them, with more than 100 people, they're designed to overwhelm our system and undermine our laws. And so this president has focused on closing that border, getting control of that for security reasons. He did ask for, and finally got, $4 billion to treat those folks humanely, to give them the health care, to get the judges to get their cases heard. He's doing exactly the right thing there. And I backed him, we backed him as House Republicans in our votes when he declared the national emergency and routed money for barriers and technology and more agents and more detection and more beds and more court to move these people back. Their case will be heard and then they're going to be returned to their home country. So, yeah, I think it's important to do this. You agree?
Yes.
On that? Yeah, we have a price on the border. And I'll tell you what, Texas, we know this, we pay a steep price here for this in drugs, in gangs, in deaths, unfortunately. But I just saw last year, our ICE and Border Patrol, they caught 484 million lethal doses of fentanyl at the border. Let me put it another way. That's a lethal dose for every American.
Yeah.
Every American. That's what they stopped. What didn't they catch? What didn't they catch? And we are, by the way, Texas, especially the Houston area coming up this direction, #1 sex trafficking region in America. So as we're sitting here in Trinity Cafe, there's 80,000 underage kids and youth caught up in sex trafficking, like as we're having breakfast here. Why? Because of our border. So the president is absolutely right to shut that back door. And by the way, he's also proposed a way to fix the front door. You know what I mean? Where you don't come in based on who you know, but based on merit. What you're bringing to make America better. You know, and this rule that he put in place yesterday is an example of it. I know the media is beating the heck out of him today, but our laws have always said if you're here legally and you want to be a citizen or get a permanent status, our law has always said you won't be here. You have to take care of yourself. You have to be self-sustaining. You can't go on to welfare. That can't be your plan. That's always been the law. Yesterday's rule was to say we're going to enforce that law. So when we look at you for citizenship in America, we want to know you can stand on your own 2 feet. Is that too much to ask?
No, sir.
It's not too much to ask.
And drug testing for those that apply.
He even exempts children and pregnant moms, and you know what I mean? It's compassion, but I think he's doing exactly the right thing. Yes, sir.
Yes, another crisis we have is assaults on our policemen.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you get a policeman gets spit on or thrown water on, that is an assault that I think the president's going after. It ought to be a 3rd-degree felony automatic.
Yeah. Look. Is there any more dangerous a job than being law enforcement these days?
Nope.
And unfortunately, you've just got too many verbal targets on your back. And then, as we saw in Dallas, you know, that mass shooting doesn't get much attention. They killed 6 people in that attack on local law enforcement. Again, we didn't blame Democrats for that attack. We blame that shooter. But we do have a thin blue line here. And it is at every level. So I think the president's right to stand up for law enforcement, to have their back. You have to do that. So it's frightening for them. Craig's giving me the hook here. And let me take one more question. Yes, sir.
What about what is in the plan to take care of this violence with Antifa and MS-13 and?
Yeah. So the question is, what do we do about the MS-13 gangs that we see here in Texas, and other states? What's being done about this Antifa violence that we're seeing? I'll tell you the short answer on the second part is I don't see anything being done to stop that violence, and it's by Antifa. In some ways, I see local officials encouraging it, pulling off their local law enforcement, even as they beat, journalists. It's sort of like an open beating zone, an open violence zone. It's just that too undermines your community, undermines laws in really dangerous ways. So I don't see anything being done within those cities and counties to try to prevent that or stop that. And as far as the MS-13 gang, we know here in Texas, we've just seen some brutal killings and violence there. I know our local law enforcement is fighting it, but again, our proximity to Central America and a border that's open has paved the way for these MS-13 gangs. And the president, when he's talking about animals, he's talking about them. Not about legal immigration, not about anything. He's talking about MS-13 gangs. And a year and a half ago, they had so much violence in Houston. One of it included a beheading from gang members in our state. So he's saying, rightly, let's focus on stopping that violence, stopping the sex trafficking, stopping the drugs, where we do barriers, where we do technology, where we get serious. Those crossings and that bad stuff just plummets, like 90%. And so look, I'll finish with this. Keep the president in your prayers. You know, he's fighting the good fight. No, he's not politically correct. He will never be politically correct. He goes right after issues. He just doesn't. Yeah. And he's not afraid to fight back, you know, on this. I was in the White House the other day. He signed our bill for the first reform of the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, in 20 years. Yeah, reins in their abuses. No longer we assume to be guilty until proven innocent. Keeps them from seizing your property and assets without. It's a good bill. We're in the White House, and I'll tell you what, he's so upbeat. You know, he doesn't get dragged down by all these attacks. He goes right after. Keep him in your prayers. Secondly, a big fight for winning the White House and for taking back the House from Nancy Pelosi is right here in Texas. Yeah, they have targeted 6 of our Texas Republicans in Congress. They're going to target 9. To put it in perspective, that 6 to 9 are bigger than 40 of the other states' entire Republican delegations. So the fight's going to be here in Texas. It's going to come to our neighborhoods and our counties. So we are going to have to register voters and turn them out and get them engaged. And for heaven's sakes, from time to time, turn off the TV. You know, what you're seeing on the media and social media is designed to discourage you, to dishearten you, to tell you there's no way this president can win re-election. And right here in this, I can't think of a better group of people to go to battle with to make sure that President Trump has a second term and Republicans take back the House. So thank you for all that you're doing. We got a lot of work to do between now and November. God bless you. Thanks very much for letting me fight for you up there.